Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I am your host Royce, and on today's video, we're going to be talking about Xbox and how they did in 2023. And there was a lot, so let's talk about it. All right, so Xbox in 2023 had a major shift. They definitely improved upon what they did in 2022. And the way I'm going to approach this video is kind of segmented. So I want to be talking about first and foremost the hardware, that sort of Xbox side of things. And then I'm going to be talking about the software, being the games. And we're going to be moving on to Game Pass. And last and definitely not least, but their presence in 2023. So let's start off with the hardware. So before we get into that, if you like Xbox and you like talking about games a little bit too much, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when I go live on these things, because I don't really have a good upload schedule at the moment. But hopefully the new year, that will be something that I'll be working on. So let's just start with the hardware. Now, the hardware this year, nothing really changed, right? Just throwing that out there. The Xbox Series X is still the Xbox Series X. The Xbox Series S is still the Series S. There was no refresh at all, but they did add a carbon black Xbox Series S with a 1 terabyte internal hard drive, and that thing looks nasty. I kind of want to get my hands on one, but I already have just the regular Xbox Series S, but this thing is awesome. I'm glad that it looks the way it looks, and it improved upon the storage, which is always a plus. So can't complain about that, because the Series S storage is a problem that I still think they need to kind of fix, because they do have those proprietary expansion cards, but they're so expensive that it's pretty much not feasible to get one, especially since a 2 terabyte hard drive is gonna cost you more than the Xbox Series S itself. And in fact, it's probably gonna cost you around the new price for the Xbox Series X, which is around $300, almost $350, which is what they're trying to sell the Xbox Series X for. And that also kind of goes into what they're doing right now. Xbox Series X's and Xbox Series S's are pretty much a steal at this moment. They are lowering the prices for these things and trying to get people invested into the Xbox ecosystem. So if you're new to the Xbox ecosystem, I think now is the perfect time to buy. But moving on to the software side of things, which is games. That's pretty much the most important thing about Xbox, right? Is the games. That's the most important thing about any console, really. And that is, how well did they deliver this year with their first party output? So if you're thinking about all the major releases that they had this year, you're probably thinking, well, there's only about 5 of them. You had Hi-Fi Rush, you had Redfall, you had Minecraft Legends, you had Starfield, and then you had Forza Motorsport. But if you think that, then you are wrong, because they actually had other titles from Xbox first party as well that are a little bit smaller, but are still notable. They released GoldenEye 007 remake into Game Pass back in January. They also did Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition now on Xbox, which they also did back in January. They also had Quake 2 remake, and they did Age of Empires 4. But that's not all. They also brought Ghostwire Tokyo to the Xbox platform. About time. But that was their year for 2023, which was massive. That is a lot of games coming to you into Game Pass, right? That is a big laundry list of games, and they're all different genres and different feels. And if you couldn't find something, I don't know what to tell you, because there's literally a game for everybody. You have racing, you have RPG, you have action adventure, you have family friendly games, you have RTSs, remakes, and it's just the whole nine. And if you want to include Activision games, because they now own Activision, then that means Diablo 4, that means Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and that Crash game that is not doing very well, but it was also something that they released this year. So that is a lot of titles. That's awesome. Great year. Now we just also got to talk about the quality of these games, because I feel like a few of these titles could have been a little bit better. And I think that that's something that Xbox tends to have an issue with, is quality control. And if you think that I'm being harsh, I understand, but this is just my opinion on the fact. Like, you can go and let me know what you guys think in the comment section about Xbox's 2023 in terms of video games. But for me personally, there was a few that were kind of lackluster. From going down the list, we obviously have Hi-Fi Rush, the first game, the big surprise of the year. That game I played for about 3 or 4 hours. Haven't beaten it fully, but I absolutely loved it, and I need to go back, and I think that it was amazing with what I played so far. But because I haven't finished it, I can't really give you a good review on that game, just kind of impressions. And from my impressions, that game was done phenomenally well, and I just can't wait to get back into it. I just had so much other things happening during that time. I'm definitely going to be going back and dipping my toes in Hi-Fi Rush. Later on in the year, we ended up getting Minecraft Legends. Now, this is not a game for me, but just so you know, I do enjoy Minecraft. I got all the achievements for Minecraft. I played a decent amount of Minecraft Dungeons. In fact, I really enjoyed Minecraft Dungeons. Minecraft Legends is definitely not something that would normally cross my plate at all, but I wanted to jump into it just to see if maybe this could be the stepping stone into an RTS, and it sadly was not. I think that for some reason, Mojang likes to go and expand the Minecraft world, which is awesome. I approve of that. I want them to do that. But they do it for things that aren't typically something that's geared towards a younger audience. You've seen it with Minecraft Dungeons, and now they're doing it with Minecraft Legends. These are typically games that are more thought-provoking, that are more intuitive, that you kind of have to know how to min and max and have certain gear and how to learn how to control an army and stuff. And these are maybe what you would consider, I guess, a younger person's first foray into an RTS or into a dungeon crawler. And that's cool that they're kind of providing that sort of leapfrog for them, but at the same time, it doesn't speak to a large audience. And I think that's what's causing a lot of people to kind of drop these games a lot sooner than expected. I know that Minecraft Dungeons had a lot of support, but I heard that Minecraft Legends had a huge drop off, and it's because of, well, probably the game design. I don't think the game is bad by any means. It's just sort of an average take into an RTS game. And I was kind of hoping that we can get something more mainstream from Minecraft that I would love to be able to see. Maybe a Minecraft RPG, I think that would be really cool. Or even just a third-person action adventure would be really interesting as well. But this is what Mojang decides to do, and this is where they decide to kind of spend that money, all that money they get from Minecraft. We also have to talk about Redfall real quick. Redfall is a fart in the wind, and I don't like Redfall at all. I played it for about 2 hours with a friend of mine, and it was one of the worst experiences I had in gaming in 2023. By far, it was pretty bad. The levels were barren. There was nothing. We were walking around for a solid 45 minutes, and I'm not even joking, going house to house looking for vampires, and we would find maybe like one, and it would take half a second to kill, and that was it. And it was just that over and over again. We had our game crash on us. We had the enemies just T-pose. We had enemies not respond to us at all. We would be shooting them and they would just not react. And the cutscenes were terrible. The way they decided to try to promote this game with all of these interesting trailers and having interesting backgrounds for all these unique characters that you're playing as, and then you go into the game and play those characters and they're bland, they're boring, they're just pretty much all, it's just Deathloop and Dishonored just cut into pieces, and that's all it is. It's just one person cut into four, and the cutscenes are just PowerPoints, and it's just a terrible design. I hated the game and I didn't finish it, but that's just not a game for me. I think a lot of people can agree that this was not the best from Arcane. And I don't think they're a bad studio, and I don't think one game determines the fate of a studio and whether or not they're a good or bad studio. But yeah, they really need to figure that out and move on from that catastrophe. Then we ended up getting Starfield, and I gotta be honest, I didn't play Starfield. I played about an hour into it, and that's about it. I think that Starfield, for me, is something that I have to dedicate a lot of time to, and right now I just don't have that time to dedicate to Starfield. But from getting all of the player sentiment from a lot of people in the industry, from just looking at reviews, from discussions with friends who have played it, it is a good game, not a great game. I think that a lot of the procedural generation that they're focusing on in this game is what actually brings it down. I kind of want them to go back to their roots. And I know that Bethesda has always had procedural generation in their games since like Daggerfall and Morrowind, but like there's still a sense of having a human touch to it that adds a little something for me. And to go to a planet and it just be barren or just have procedurally generated missions, that's not something that I find intriguing. And it kind of is what sort of dampened my mood towards Starfield and kind of what made me step away from after hearing these things. Now, I could be wrong. You can enjoy the game, and I'm not trying to tell you that you can't enjoy the game. That's just something that me personally, I don't really like. I will be hopping into Starfield at some point, but hopefully the DLCs that come out can kind of fix some of those issues and allow players to truly immerse themselves into this world. And I just really want a classic Bethesda game. That's all I want. I want a classic Elder Scrolls. Even if I'm not the biggest Elder Scrolls fan, of course I want another Fallout, but I want a Fallout and Elder Scrolls with more RPG elements to them and less procedural generation and more handcrafting. If it takes you 7-8 years to do a game, it better be handcrafted at that point. But that's just my opinion. So we also have to top it off with Forza Motorsport. Now, Forza Motorsport is something that I'm not interested in at all. I'm more of a Forza Horizon player. I enjoy that a lot more. I'm not really into circuit racing. I don't care about any of that. So again, this is not really a game for me, and that's really a bummer, right? It seems like this year, even though the Xbox delivered a lot of games, some of the stuff is something that I wasn't really interested in. I was more interested in the games that they brought to Game Pass, or some of the remasters that they've done in Hi-Fi Rush. Those were my games for this year that I was really interested in. But Forza Motorsport, not for me. But from the outside looking in and seeing the comparisons between Forza Motorsport and GT7, it seems that GT7 has a leg up in terms of performance, in terms of ray tracing, and in terms of just overall build and feel. That is something of a disappointment to hear, because of the fact that they took so long to release this game. They took so long that they actually went and delisted the previous Forza game due to licensing issues from the cars. So if it's going to take you that long to make a Forza game, then it needs to be the best Forza game ever made, in my opinion, right? If it takes that long to where your game gets delisted and you can't buy it anymore or play it anymore, then yeah, the next game better deliver. And it seems like they didn't really truly deliver on all those aspects. And again, this doesn't mean that the game is bad at all by any means. It even won Best Racing at the Game Awards. So by no means is this a failure at all. It's just from an outside looking in. But that's pretty much everything in a nutshell when it comes down to the games that they delivered this year. Now, we're going to be talking about Game Pass. Game Pass this year alone ended up having 50 day and date titles. Yeah, that's right. 50 day and date titles. And this is like a laundry list of games that they had. And I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but they had a nice amount. Some of the ones that I played and really enjoyed were Ravenlock, Planet of Lana, Dordong, Venba, Cocoon, Party Animals, and Jasant. And you even have these bigger releases as well that a lot of people were excited about, including things like Atomic Heart, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, MLB The Show 2023, Amnesia, The Bunker, Exoprimal from Capcom, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that just took the industry by storm when it first released, Sea of Stars, which ended up being one of the best games of the year, Lies of P, which is my personal game of the year at the moment. I think that game is amazing. Payday 3 was also a huge hit, and even though the game was broken at launch, it still had millions of people trying to get into that game and play it. Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name, the next entry into the Like a Dragon series, Persona 5 Tactica, and more. It was a great year for day and date. That's just the day and date releases. That's not including the games that ended up just coming to Game Pass by themselves, which include things like Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, Monster Hunter Rise, Hot Wheels Unleashed Game of the Year Edition, Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition, Soul Hackers 2, Guilty Gear Strive, Valheim, Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition, Bramble the Mountain King, which I played and actually kind of enjoyed that one, Gotham Knights, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, Football Manager 2024, Wild Hearts, Dead Space Remake, Killer Instinct Anniversary Edition, ended up getting an update, Remnant 1 and 2 got added, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Far Cry 6. So this year was pretty phenomenal for Game Pass, and I feel like if they continue on this trajectory, then we're really in a good spot. This is something that you just can't ignore. Getting all those games for the monthly price that you're paying, including all of the games that they released this year first party wise. I'm not those, and that includes all of the little ones that were sprinkled in that I talked about, like Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 4, GoldenEye 007, Quake 2, the Ghostwire Tokyo finally coming to Xbox, and including brand new DLC with that release. They did a phenomenal job. Like I can't express enough how awesome Game Pass was, and it continues to be an amazing value to the point where I'm amazed by how people just make fun of this service, call it the EBT card of gaming, or it's just the food stamps of gaming. Come on, this, how can you deny this? Like, why don't you want to play these games for the price that you pay for, especially since it's so cheap? It's the best deal in gaming, plain and simple. Get yourself some Game Pass, because if anything is like this ever again in 2024, then we are eating good. It's just that plain and simple, especially since the 2024 games that are coming from first party are some that I'm really interested in. So last but not least, like I said earlier, is Xbox's presence. I know that in 2022, this is something that I was begging for at the end of the year. I was just demanding Xbox, you need to do better in terms of marketing, in terms of having a presence, in terms of communication. And they did. They really did. It's a lot better. There's still some holes in that sort of marketing area and sort of messaging, but they were still present more than they ever have been. They started off the year with the Developer Direct, showing us what to expect for this year, and even having a surprise drop of Hi-Fi Rush. They went in and they did several developer diaries for Starfield leading up to the launch, which I think really showed off the game and showed you what to expect, and they didn't overhype this at all. I think that all the overhype that does come from Starfield is coming from the players themselves, and Xbox fans saying that this needs to be the game of the generation and putting that on Starfield. I think that also is why it kind of dampened my mood towards Starfield a little bit. They did a great job at showcasing what Starfield is and what to expect from that. Then they had an amazing Xbox game showcase in June, and after that June showcase, they even did an hour of Starfield stuff, and just only Starfield. That was really cool too, and they did an awesome job at the game show. They had Fable showed off, they had Clockwork Revolution showed off, and they had the South of Midnight trailer. All things that I've been waiting to see have now been shown, and it looks amazing. Xbox has a lot going on right now. They were even present at the Summer Game Show to announce new titles coming to Xbox Game Pass, and they were at the Tokyo Game Show this year. They're even at PAX East. They were just everywhere, even at showcases that had nothing to do with them, like the Final Fantasy event. Phil Spencer was there announcing that Final Fantasy 14 is finally coming to Xbox. And you thought, well, maybe that's it. That's it for Xbox. They're not going to announce anything else. But they even went and did a third-party showcase for some of the games that were releasing later in the year, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect that. It was just kind of there. I mean, I don't know if you enjoyed that or not, but it was nice to just be able to see recognition go towards these games that are launching within a certain period. And they all also showed up at the Game Awards. Ended up stealing the show for me personally because of all the things that they decided to show. They showed OD, they showed Hellblade gameplay, which looks phenomenal. The game looks amazing. I'm surprised this thing could run on the Xbox Series X. And they even announced that they're working on Marvel Blade. Wow, what a way to end the year. There's even rumors that in January they're going to be doing another developer direct like they did earlier this year. So there is a lot to look forward to over at the Xbox camp, and I am excited, and I'm glad that they actually were at all these major events, always announcing something, always showing face. That is good. That is what you need to do in order to show the audience and the public, hey, Xbox is here to stay and we're here to compete. And these are all the things that you have to look forward to. The other thing I have to talk about is ABK. ABK is now finally owned by Xbox, at least for the time being, because that could change. There's still the whole Ninth Circle issue going on where they're still trying to debate this whole thing, and there's still potential for this deal to get reverted. But as of right now, Xbox owns ABK. That means that they own Call of Duty, they own Diablo, they own Overwatch, they own World of Warcraft, they own all of that stuff. Finally, this is something that we've been waiting for a year and a half now, and I'm glad that it's finally over, and now we don't have to talk about it anymore, and yet here I am talking about it. It's done. And that is something that is just a positive thing. Even if it fell through, I would just be glad that it is just done. And that happened this year, just a few months ago, finally. So that is everything about ABK, about Microsoft as a whole, and what they are doing in 2023. And I think that this is what they need to mimic every single year. They need to continue to do this over and over again. There are some issues that I think they just need to iron out. Like I said, about the quality of the games, I think they still need to work on that, because that's what's really going to hurt you in the long run. If you don't have the quality, people are not going to come. And that's just the reality of things. But they also need to work on communication. They need to work on sales and advertising, trying to get Xbox out there and let people know that Xbox is around, and it means business. Use the IP that you bought. You spent all this money on Activision and Blizzard. You spent all this money on Bethesda. Use those IP. Use your studios. Continue to get third-party content over to Xbox. Do this and you are going to be someone to fear. But if I had to give them a grade, I'd be giving them a 9 out of 10. I think they did a really good job, a solid 9. That's definitely a lot better than last year, which I would have gave them probably a 2. 2. Pentiment carried that. Oh, it gets grounded too. So yeah, Obsidian really carried the team on their back that year, but I don't want to see another 2022. I want to see more 2023. But what do you guys think about Xbox in 2023? Do you think they delivered? And do you think that they're on to something now? Do you think that we don't have to wait and hear about how Xbox has no games? Maybe it might be changed. Maybe it's on the other side. Maybe PlayStation has no games now. I'm just being messy. They have games. Good games. But let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate you for stopping by. I'm sorry this video is so long. I always do these long videos. I don't intend to, but this just happens. I just won't shut up about Xbox and about gaming because I love it so much. Holy shit. But be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for stopping by. I'll be seeing you on the next one. Remember, take it easy.